Divine prophecy. In 40 days, every doubter will witness your supernatural transformation. In the heart of a quaint rural village, nestled between prayerful chapels and fields that danced with the wind, lived Mary. A humble school teacher, she once radiated faith like the sun. But tragedy had cast long shadows over her soul. The illness of her beloved mother had extinguished her vibrant prayers, leaving only silence. The chapel, once a refuge, now echoed with hushed whispers of despair and doubt, especially as churchgoers speculated on her mother's fading health, fearing that even the best of medicines couldn't reach her. One fateful evening, with flickering candles illuminating the old wooden pews, Mary attended a midweek gathering at the local church. Incense filled the air, mingling with the haunting harmonies of the hymns. It was there, amidst the murmur of our prayers, that the elderly priest stepped forward, his presence commanding and warm. Laying his hands gently atop her head, he proclaimed with fervor, "In 40 days, your life shall be transformed, and every doubter in this village will witness your supernatural deliverance." Though hope flickered like a candle against the walls of her doubt, Mary felt an inexplicable warmth wash over her. Returning home, disbelief shadowed her heart, not only from her family but the community she called her own. Yet, even as skepticism loomed overhead like a storm cloud, something deep within stirred. The very next night, under the refuge of their family prayer, Mary felt a palpable shift, the kind you could almost grab hold of. Her mother, once pale and frail, spoke words that echoed with strength. "I feel different." It was an unexplainable recovery, wrapped in mystery, a beautiful glimpse of hope amid chaos. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As days rolled on, whispers of miracles found their way through the village like wildflowers in spring. Neighbors shared testimonies of healings, rekindled relationships transforming once broken bonds. A man who had walked with a limp for years found himself dancing under the moonlight, while a couple, torn apart by grief, held each other after a heartfelt reunion. Each miracle seemed to draw everyone closer to the sacred, yet Mary's internal struggle brewed deeper. Each act of faith was met with scrutiny, and her mother's improvement, though hopeful, spurred more questions than answers. Just as the 40 days approached their climax, a weighty anticipation filled their little village. As villagers gathered for prayer, hearts clamored with both excitement and doubt. Tension hung like a thick fog. Then, as if the heavens opened, Mary's mother slowly rose, illuminating the room with a radiance that defied belief. Gasps erupted. Prayers turned to shouts of joy and bewilderment. The miraculous transformation shattered disbelief, pulling everyone into a divine embrace of faith. But amid the jubilation, unanswered questions lingered like an echo. What deeper understanding of faith awaited? How would this miracle reshape their lives and the community that once doubted? In the heart of Mary, hope ignited yet again, tugging at the strings of her soul. In the very moment they celebrated, new mysteries beckoned, hinting at the sacred journey still ahead. As dawn broke upon the slumbering village, a miraculous energy pulsed through the air, mingling with the sweet scent of morning dew. Mary woke early, her heart still alight from the previous night's wonders. She could feel the warmth of God's presence wrapping around her like a gentle shawl. Her mother, who had once been fading, now stood renewed in spirit, strong and vibrant. Mary stepped outside, the sun casting golden rays over the fields. The village, alive with the soft songs of birds, seemed to glow with possibility. Children laughed merrily, their playful spirit reminding her of simpler times. Yet, the air also buzzed with whispers, the curious chatter of neighbors contemplating the miracle they had just witnessed. How? Why? Mary's heart wrestled with the fight for faith and understanding. Each day brought new challenges. Despite the joyous occasion of her mother's return to health, Mary noticed some wary eyes cast her way. There were the skeptics who retained disbelief, even as miracles fully filled the village. They questioned the validity of the change. A knot tightened in Mary's stomach, realizing that her transformation was not just a miracle for her family but a challenge to the community's understanding of faith. The next Sunday service, Mary found the congregation filled with an electric energy, a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. The elderly priest stood at the altar, his voice a comforting balm in the atmosphere thick with expectation. Miracles, dear beloved, are but windows that allow us glimpses of God's unwavering grace. But every miracle carries a message, and it is upon us to discover that sacred truth. Mary felt her pulse quicken. With every word, she sensed the tug of divine revelation but also the weight of collective doubt pressing against her heart. What is this message? She pondered. What does God really desire from us amidst these transformations? As the service drew to a close, Mary felt compelled to share her journey. She stood, her knees shaking slightly, but the strength of her mother's recovery flooded her being. I stand before you not just as a daughter born of miracles, but as your neighbor, one who once doubted. And now, I ask you to join me in this journey of faith. Her voice was tentative but grew firm with each sentence. We can no longer see blessings as mere coincidence. They are divine invitations to deepen our relationship with God. A murmur spread through the crowd. Some nodded, their faces showing acceptance, while others wore expressions of skepticism. The priest, witnessing the shift, stepped forward with grace. Faith, my dear children, he implored, is not only about seeing but also about believing and understanding. Let us gather together, not as doubters, but as seekers of this truth. With renewed hope, Mary felt the bond of community beginning to forge anew. The next few days were filled with small gatherings and heartfelt discussions. Hearts that had been closed began to open, and instead of division, compassion bloomed. But just as faith started to spread like wildfire, shadows loomed in the background. Reports came of unnatural occurrences, storms brewing suddenly, crops failing unexpectedly. The village was at a crossroads, and Mary sensed the battle with doubt deepening. The energy that once felt joyful now shifted, as they had to face an even greater challenge ahead as the sun dipped below the horizon that evening, casting fantastical colors across the sky. Mary knew they were on the precipice of a pivotal moment. Would they stand firm in their belief, or would the weight of fear pull them back into the darkness? Uncertainty hung in the air, but with it, a stubborn flicker of hope remained. What awaited them in the coming days? Only time would reveal the strength of their faith in the face of what seemed insurmountable. Mary could only pray for guidance, knowing that the true test of faith was yet to come. Mary awoke the next morning, the weight of the previous day's uncertainty still heavy in her heart. As she gazed out of her window, the colors of dawn seemed slightly dimmed, as if the very world was holding its breath. She could hear the wind rustling the leaves and, in that moment, it felt as though nature itself was caught up in the tension of faith and doubt. With the soft light pouring through, she decided to take a walk to the village square. The usual bustle was muted today. The laughter of children was hushed, conversations were low, and the smiles that had once lit faces seemed to flicker and fade into uncertainty. The shadows of doubt were darkening the joy that had begun to spread through the village. As Mary moved through the square, she encountered James, a neighbor known for his sharp tongue and quicker skepticism. His arms were crossed, a furrow deep in his brow. "How can you still believe, Mary?" he challenged, his voice low but firm. "Just look around. The storm's Haven tea just damaged crops. They've shaken our hope." Mary's heart ached at his words. Here stood a man whose spirit could be brightened by the same miracles she had experienced. Yet she could almost sense the shadows curling around him like a choking fog. "James," she replied gently, "we've seen God's hand at work. My mother is healed. Isn't that more powerful than storms? Sometimes, faith is our shelter amidst the chaos." He looked away, eyes narrowing. "Shelter or not, the reality is we're losing faith. There's talk of leaving the village, of seeking safety elsewhere. Is that what you want?" To abandon your home when it needs us most. Mary felt a surge of conviction wash over her. No, I want to fight for our home. I believe that if we stand together, leaning into faith rather than fear, we can face whatever comes. God has a purpose in this waiting, in this struggle. But James merely shook his head. It is easy to speak of faith when things are good, Mary. But what about when the storms rage? That is when true belief is tested. The tension between them deepened, like a storm cloud darkening over the village. Still, Mary could not shake the feeling that her mission was just beginning. With a deep breath, she resolved to meet each doubt with unwavering grace. As the days rolled on, Mary gathered the villagers for evening prayer meetings. Each gathering was an invitation not just to believe but to share the weight of doubt together. She created a safe space where hearts could unburden their fears. Words of vulnerability spilled forth, lament mixed with hope, and together they lifted their voices to God, echoing their plea for strength and understanding. Yet, as they prayed, the winds outside grew restless. News of a fierce storm heading toward the village sent fresh waves of panic rippling through the community. People rushed to prepare, the air tinged with urgency and anxiety. Mary felt a tightness in her chest as she held her mother's hand, searching for reassurance in their joined faith. "Mom, what do we do?" she whispered, her voice barely breaking through the clamor around them. With a calm that belied the chaos, her mother replied, "We trust, Mary. This isn't our test but a chance for divine revelation. Maybe God is calling us to find our strength. Remember what the priest said, every miracle carries a message." Mary's spirit lifted at those words. Perhaps the storm wasn't just an ending but the beginning of something so much greater. With renewed determination, she gathered the community once more, reminding them of the miracles they had witnessed and the strength they held in unity. As night fell, an electric anticipation pulsated in the air. They formed a circle under the open sky, hands clasped together, weaving their prayers into the wind. The hearts of the villagers began to beat as one, a rhythm of unyielding faith rising in defiance of the storm. But then, just as they felt the first drops of rain on their skin, a brilliant flash of lightning illuminated the night sky, followed by a voice deep and resonant. "In 40 days every doubter will witness transformation." The words echoed through the heavens like an unspoken promise, leaving Mary breathless. What could it mean? Would the village truly be transformed? In that moment, she sensed the weight of the divine calling them into something far greater than they could see. The battle against doubt had only begun, but somehow, hope ignited a flame within her. What awaited them in this 40-day journey? Only God knew. The rain began to fall gently at first, each drop like a pulse echoing the heartbeat of the anxious village. Mary felt droplets splash against her upturned face, refreshing yet ominous, like the weight of a promise hanging in the air. Had they truly heard that voice? The villagers held their breath, a collective gasp caught in their throats, eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. "Did you hear that?" whispered a voice from the circle, breaking the silence. It was Clara, an elderly woman whose faith had been forged through years of trials. Mary turned to Clara, who seemed both terrified and invigorated. "Yes," she whispered back. "We have to believe it's true." Hope flickered in the hearts around her, although shadows of doubt shivered in the corners of anxious minds. Mary could feel the tension, raw and bright against the darkening sky. "Let us pray," she suggested, raising her arms to the heavens, encouraging others to join her. Suddenly, the rain intensified, pouring harder as if the heavens were responding. Mixed with the sound of raindrops hitting the ground was the low rumble of distant thunder, a reminder of the storm still closing in. And yet, as they prayed, hearts began to open, revealing fears, dreams, and burdens which Mary believed were all part of the journey towards truth. "Lord," she prayed aloud, her voice steady, "thank you for the miracles so far. We pray for strength in faith and for clarity in uncertainty. Let us witness the transformation within us." The energy shifted, the villagers adorned in prayerful silence, finding unity in their whispered pleas. Mary sensed the divine presence among them, each heart pulsing toward the promise of change. This storm, Mary said softly, might be just the beginning. Perhaps this is how God reveals himself. Through chaos comes clarity. Through fear comes growth. Maybe we are ready for our own transformation. Yes, Clara shouted, her voice piercing through the rain. We have seen storms before. Remember the floods that came last year? A murmur of agreement passed through the group. They began recalling past trials. Each story breathed a wave of camaraderie, weaving their faith deeper into the fabric of their community. As the wind howled like an approaching beast, Mary stood firm, emboldened by the shared strength of her neighbors. What if we are called to stand against this storm together? Each voice is part of the choir that will bring about our miracles. A few hands squeezed tighter in solidarity. Yes, united we are strong. Together we can withstand anything. Someone shouted. Their voices rose above the storm, a crescendo filled with faith and determination. They were no longer just a village preparing for an imminent storm. They embodied hope, courage, and the promise of change. Then, in a moment that felt divine, the rain lessened, and a gentle hush fell upon the group. Mary raised her arms toward the still darkening sky. In faith, we claim this time 40 days. A transformation awaits us. Before another word could be spoken, an unexpected burst of light illuminated the night, revealing an intricately woven tapestry of stars peeking through the clouds, each shining like promises of divine light. As every villager gazed upward, the atmosphere shifted. A sense of peace surrounded them, settling in like a warm blanket. Could it be that the 40 days were less about the storms and more about the light they would all experience together? The questions hummed within Mary's heart, swirling like the wind. She knew the journey would be tough. Doubts would arise again, and storms would still rage. But she also felt an undeniable conviction stirring within her spirit, a glimmer of knowledge that bold steps forward were indeed on the horizon. What would tomorrow bring? Would the villagers find the transformative miracles that lay ahead? Or would they wrestle once again with their shadows of doubt? Only time and faith would reveal the answers. The stars continued to twinkle with a brilliance that seemed to breathe life into the hearts of the villagers. Each luminescent point felt like a promise, a whisper of hope in the night that wrapped around them like a cloak. Mary felt a surge of warmth spreading through her, igniting a fire within her soul. "Look!" someone exclaimed, their voice filled with awe. The villagers turned their gazes skyward, drawn to the shifting clouds that danced above them. There was something ethereal about the way the light shimmered now, illuminating the woodland paths and the edges of their homes. "God is speaking to us tonight," Clara affirmed, her voice steady and resolute. In his own way, he is showing us that even in the darkest storms, there can be light. The words wrapped around the villagers like a gentle embrace, drawing them even closer together. They began to share their fears, each confession a brick removed from the fortress of doubt they built around their hearts. "I'm scared that this storm it might destroy everything we've worked for." A young voice quivered. It was Jonah, a farmer's son, whose face was half-shadowed by the flickering light. "Jonah," Mary replied softly, her heart aching for the innocence he held. "Storms can feel terrifying, but they also wash away the old, making way for new growth. Remember the fields we lost last year? God turned our heartache into a harvest." Her words echoed within the group, resurrecting shared memories of resilience. The villagers nodded, some wiping away tears that had pooled in the corners of their eyes, while others grasped the hands of neighbors. In that sacred moment, they began to dream aloud, one by one. "What if this storm is a sign of a fresh start?" Clara offered, her voice quivering with excitement. "What if our dreams can be reborn? Together we can dream big. Maybe we can expand the community garden, a place for everyone to share to help each other," chimed another villager, igniting a spark of enthusiasm. "We can host classes, teach our children and each other build dreams out of the ashes," one whispered, as if afraid to fully shout the thought into being. This back-and-forth energy ignited a palpable shift among them. The rain that had once drummed a frantic rhythm now seemed to soften, coming in gentle waves as if recognizing their collective spirit. Mary closed her eyes for a moment, taking in the fervor around her. She envisioned fields bursting with life, children laughing as they played, and adults alongside them humming that familiar tune of faith. But deep within her, a seed of worry began to sprout. Would they actually take steps toward those dreams? "Let us vow to take those steps together," she proposed, raising her hands again. "Each day during these 40 days, let us gather to share and act on our dreams. At the end of this journey, we will stand transformed." Transformed. The crowd lifted their voices in agreement, the rain like a backdrop to their declaration. A hush fell over them again, but this time it was different. It wasn't the calm before the storm. It was the anticipation of something amazing about to happen. Each villager could feel it, a shift, a turning point, a moment hanging in the balance. As the first rays of dawn began to pierce through the lingering night, hope bubbled within Mary. Every beginning can be birthed from an end, she thought, the two entwined in divine symmetry. But the question lingered: what would stand in their way? Would their hearts remain unified as they faced the challenges ahead? All eyes returned to the path leading out of the village, waiting for the first light of day, which promised not just illumination but a new chapter in their lives. What awaited them in the morning light? Would they embrace the change that followed, or find themselves entangled once more in doubt? As the dawn caressed the village, soft light spilled across the dewdrops that adorned the grass like tiny crystals. The colors of daybreak began to dance against the shadows of the night, urging the villagers from their slumber. With every breath, Mary felt the weight of anticipation pressing upon her. This was the beginning of something profound. Gathering once again beneath the ancient oak, the villagers arrived with hopeful eyes and hearts whispering prayers. Clara was the first to speak, her voice steady and clear. "Remember our vows, dear friends. We promise to support each other through the days ahead. Every idea matters, no dream too small." The air crackled with energy as voices mingled, sharing bits of inspiration. Elizabeth envisioned murals on the village walls, vibrant reminders of their journey. "Art can inspire. We can paint our dreams," she shouted, her eyes alight with passion. "And I think we should learn new trades," Jonah chimed in, suddenly emboldened. "Imagine if we could teach each other how to fix things and grow food in new ways." A collective cheer erupted, echoing like a thunderous yes to the universe. Each concept shared lifted spirits higher. Hopes began to nestle within their hearts. Yet, amid this joy, Mary noticed a flicker of concern in the eyes of some villagers, a hesitant shadow, lingering just below the surface. "What if we can't do it?" A voice quaked, breaking through the excitement. "What if our plans fail?" It was old Thomas, his face weary, his hands trembling with age and worry. Silence wrapped around them like a thick fog, and despair hung heavy in the air. Longer periods of silence passed, as eyes shifted uneasily from one to another. Mary felt her heart racing. Was this the moment of doubt they had feared? "Thomas," she began gently, her voice weaving through the thick silence, "the only failure is not trying. God doesn't expect perfection from us, but faithfulness. Every step we take is one toward growth. Look at the dawn, it didn't rush. It rose exactly as it was supposed to." Her words seemed to lift a veil. Slowly, hesitantly, nods of agreement began to ripple through the crowd. A deep breath collectively taken seemed to lighten the atmosphere as the villagers regained their courage. They began to swap stories of past fears conquered, how each struggle had become a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. As memories flooded back, laughter bubbled forth, woven through with tears glimmering like the morning dew. New ideas blossomed, and anticipation bloomed against the canvas of doubt. "Let us create a journal," suggested Clara suddenly. "Every evening, we can write down our experiences and lift our collective hearts in prayer. This can be a testament to our faith and a roadmap of where God leads us." Excitement surged at the thought. Enthusiasm cascaded, and soon the villagers were animatedly proposing tasks, forming committees, and signing up for responsibilities. All the while, Mary marveled at this blossoming community spirit. Yet, even amid harmony, the questions loomed. What if their efforts were met with hardship? Would united hearts be enough when faced with challenges? As they began to disperse, feeling the warmth of purpose wrap around them, the sun fully ascended. It poured light onto the village, illuminating their paths ahead. But Mary couldn't shake the sensation that the real test was still waiting. The first challenge was yet to be revealed. What would it demand of them? Would their faith withstand the fires that might threaten to consume their budding dreams? With a heart full of resolve yet laced with trepidation, she turned to watch the horizon. This journey was only beginning. Would they be ready when the storms came, or would doubt seek to undermine their resolve? The light of day painted a path forward, yet a shadow loomed. What divine lessons awaited them ahead? The prayers of the villagers could be felt weaving through the air, mingling with the rustling leaves above. As days passed, the energy they had conjured beneath the ancient oak transformed into a rhythm of purpose. Morning became a time of crafting plans, while evenings blossomed into gatherings where laughter filled the air and dreams took root. Little by little, the village began to change. The walls once bare now bore colorful murals, each stroke a testament to hope and creativity. Young and old participated, hands splattered with paint, joy radiating from every smile. The schoolhouse became a sanctuary of knowledge, where Jonah taught children the practicalities of trade, each session instilling wisdom and newfound pride in their skills. Yet, even amidst progress, Mary often found herself gazing toward the horizon, feeling a foreboding that would not quite fade away. There were whispers of dissent from some corners, a feeling of unease that started to creep in like shadows at dusk. "It's all too ambitious," one murmured. "What if we lose what little we have?" Another fretted. The concern buzzed beneath the surface, an unsteady heartbeat threatening the harmony they had carefully constructed. One afternoon, when the sun hung low, casting golden light across the fields, Mary felt the urge to bring everyone together. They needed another meeting beneath the oak as they gathered that evening. The atmosphere felt thick, heavy with unspoken fears. Mary stood, heart racing as she faced the crowd. "We've come so far together," she started, her voice steady, though her spirit felt fragile. "But it seems doubt has found a home in some of our hearts. Let us talk about it. Let us bring our fears into the light." A silence fell over the crowd, and slowly, Thomas rose once more, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "What if our strength isn't enough? What if we falter? I've seen too many dreams fade," he shared, his voice cracking. "We can't ignore the uncertainty," chimed in another villager. "But that doesn't mean we turn away from the light." Mary nodded, considering their words. "You're right, but let us reflect on something together. Have we ever faced a challenge without finding a way? Every step we've taken is because we dared to face our doubts. Remember how darkness can make dawn feel even more glorious?" A flicker of hope began to light faces around her. She continued, "We should lean into each other. Those are the moments we lift each other. When the darkness creeps close, let us not hide in it, but fetch our light and walk through it together." As her words echoed, a wave of unity washed over the villagers, voices rising again in agreement. Yet, Marie couldn't shake the deeper feeling that this was only the calm before a storm. "What do you propose we do then, Mary?" Clara asked, her bright eyes wide with anticipation. "I propose we gather our prayers and our hopes, all of them," Mary replied fervently. "Let us create a festival of faith where we share our dreams and the divine lessons we learn, but we also prepare ourselves for things we cannot see coming. Let us make a pact of courage." That evening, they began to weave plans for a festival, a time when each villager would speak their truths, share their burdens, and together reaffirm their shared faith. Hope began to fill the air, punctuated by a sense of impending challenge. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a gentle shiver danced through the trees. Mary gazed once more to the distance, sensing the wild winds of change stirring. What awaited them on that horizon? What trials might they face that would stretch their faith beyond what they had known? The festival seemed to unfurl a new chapter, yet a whisper lingered in the air, a question, a curiosity about the trials that lay ahead. Would their spirits rise like the dawn again, or would the shadows engulf them? Only time would reveal the true depth of their commitment and the miraculous ways God might manifest their transformation. The days leading up to the festival unfolded with fervor, a beautiful tapestry of anticipation woven by the villagers' hearts. Each morning, Mary awoke to find the sun spilling warm light over the fields, illuminating faces eager to contribute. They painted banners that held verses of faith, crafted decorations that bore messages of hope, and prepared meals that would nourish their souls. But amidst this joyful preparation, Mary felt that restless stirring within her chest. It whispered reminders that faith isn't just about the joyous times. It's often tested in the depths of uncertainty. As she walked through the bustling village, she noticed worry creeping back into conversations. The laughter that once rang out so freely sometimes dulled to worry-laden whispers. On the afternoon before the festival, as the sun painted the sky in hues of purple and gold, Mary found herself beneath the grand oak once again. Laying her palms upon its sturdy trunk, she closed her eyes and prayed fervently. "Lord," she whispered, "if we are to be true in this gathering, help me to find the words that will cast away fear and breathe courage into every heart." The wind rustled the leaves above her, a gentle response that sent a shiver down her spine. She opened her eyes, filled with hope as she thought of the festival. It was more than just an event. It was a declaration, an affirmation of their commitment to standing together in faith. Come what may that evening, as the villagers decorated the clearing, Mary noticed Clara and Thomas deep in conversation, their brows furrowed. Approaching them, she listened as they voiced worries about what might happen during the festival. "What if things don't go the way we hope?" Clara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have to understand that not everything is in our control," Thomas added thoughtfully. "What if we fail?" Mary felt the weight of their concerns. "Failure isn't the end," she said gently, a light igniting in her eyes. "Every moment of struggle teaches us something. Our journey is about trust in God's unfolding plan, even in uncertainty." With those words, a small group began to gather around Mary. Little by little, they shared their fears, the burdens they carried, and the doubts that lingered. Each story intertwined, revealing a community that had only grown stronger in vulnerability. As dusk settled, Mary felt a wave of love and understanding flow through her. "Let us light this space with our dreams," she urged them. "Let us share the visions we hold, the prayers we carry. Together we make this promise not just to ourselves, but to each other and to God." As they took turns lighting candles that flickered like stars in the night, a renewed energy rippled through the crowd. Old worries seemed to lift, replaced by the shimmer of fellowship and bravery. It was as if their spirits danced on the very edges of hope. When the last candle was lit, the villagers stood hand in hand, encircling Mary. "Lead us into the festival with faith," someone called out, and the rest echoed, "Yes, let us." Just as the last of the light began to ebb from the horizon, Mary raised her hands. "Amen. We affirm our pact of courage. Let us go forth into the festival, proclaiming our faith loud and clear." Yet, even as they celebrated, a single dark cloud rolled across the horizon. The wind picked up, rattling branches and whispering secrets in a language they could not understand. "Do you feel that?" Clara murmured, concern weaving through her voice. Mary turned her gaze towards the approaching storm, heart pounding as a soft tremor of realization washed over her. "It's not just a storm," she said, "but a sign of what is to come." The villagers held their breath, uncertainty flickering in their eyes as a crack of thunder rolled ominously overhead. What would this dark cloud bring? Would it bring tests of their faith, or reveal the true strength bound among their hearts? The festival awaited, but so did the unforeseen storm. They were on the brink of something monumental, and the lessons they stood to learn were still unknown. Would they rise above fear, or would the shadows of doubt consume their courage? Such possibilities danced in the air, leaving them with hope and anticipation for what God had yet to reveal. As the ominous cloud loomed closer, the light from the candles shimmered defiantly, casting flickers of gold against the darkening sky. Mary faced the villagers, her heart alight with the tension of the moment. It was a strange mix of fear and excitement, like the quiet before a great storm, unpredictable yet full of promise. "Brothers and sisters," she called, her voice steady despite the swirling winds, "do not let fear grip your hearts. This gathering is built on our faith, and while the storm might test us, it is also a herald of change. Murmurs of agreement mingled with uncertainty rippling through the group. Clara squeezed Marius' hand, her eyes wide. But what if it brings chaos? What if it disrupts our festival? We must remember, Mary replied, locking eyes with each villager. It is not in the perfection of our plans that we find strength, but in our unwavering trust in God. The storm may shake the surface, but we have a foundation that cannot be moved. She gestured towards the grand oak behind her, its roots deep and strong, unaffected by the winds as thunder rumbled again. The villagers stood resolutely together. Thomas took a step forward, emboldened. Mary is right. We come together to lift each other up, and we must cling to that promise. His voice grew in strength. Let our faith be our shield against the storm. Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the clearing, momentarily transforming the shadows into a sacred display of flickering light. Gasps filled the air as wonder mingled with apprehension. In that moment, Mary felt something shift within her, a newfound clarity that surged like a wave of warmth, a prophetic calling for the festival ahead. Our festival is not merely a celebration, she declared, urgency filling her tone. It is a testament, a living reflection of our faith in the unseen. The storms may come, but they cannot destroy what God has destined for us. As she spoke, hope flickered in the eyes of the villagers. They remembered the impossible moments they had overcome together, each trial having strengthened their bond. With every shared story of perseverance, each flickering candle became a beacon of faith. The first drops of rain began to fall, soft and gentle, like a tender kiss from above. Mary raised her hands toward the heavens, rainwater mingling with her prayers. Let it be a blessing, a reminder that life springs from the storm. Slowly, one by one, the villagers joined her. Hands reaching upwards, they began to sing in unison a melody of hope that pierced the darkened sky. The storm responded with a crescendo of thunder and rain, but their voices rose above it all. As they sang, something miraculous happened. The clouds swirled above, but rays of sunlight began streaming through, illuminating their faces with divine glory. Mary opened her heart, feeling the rush of the Holy Spirit enveloping the community. This is our moment, she shouted, not just for us but for everyone who doubts. Let our unity be a witness. They sang louder, practicing their faith in boldness. And as they did, an unseen warmth cascaded over them, both calming and invigorating. There was magic in their faith, a transformation waiting to unfold. Suddenly, Clara let out a gasp. Look, she pointed, her eyes sparkling. They turned as a rainbow broke through the clouds, vibrant against the darkened backdrop, a divine promise that resonated deeply within their souls. God is with us, Thomas exclaimed, his voice tinged with awe. The rainbow stood as a testament, a seal of assurance that their trials would lead to great triumph. But amid their celebration, Mary sensed a lingering tension in the air. An unspoken question hung heavy like the storm clouds that had just begun to part. As they embraced the miracle, she felt a pull on her spirit, a stirring that there was more to come. What else is God preparing us for? Mary wondered, heart racing with anticipation. Thoughts fumbled for answers, kindling curiosity about the wonders to unfold on the morrow. Was the storm merely the beginning of something divine? Or would they face trials even greater than they had yet imagined? With hearts alight, the villagers clung to one another, poised on the precipice of faith as the first rays of dawn began to break through. They had embraced the storm. Now, they stood ready for what lay ahead. As the sun rose higher in the sky, illuminating the village in golden hues, a palpable energy coursed through the air. Mary stepped outside, breathing deeply, absorbing the warmth that filled her soul. The storm had come and gone, leaving behind an unshakable promise, a rainbow that danced colorfully overhead, a reminder of Goddess' unwavering faithfulness. Gathering the villagers once more at the foot of the grand oak, she felt the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders. The festival was not merely a celebration but a moment etched in time, showcasing the transformation that had begun in their hearts. Today, Mary began, her voice ringing clear, We celebrate faith, resilience, and community. We are not just individuals facing storms alone. Together, we are a tapestry woven by divine hands. An invigorating cheer erupted from the crowd, voices intertwining in excitement and anticipation. Each villager was ready to bear witness to not only their growth, but also to the transformative power of goddess love. Manifesting through miracles both big and small as the festival commenced, decorations fluttered in the gentle breeze, each color a testament to hope and healing. Jonah showcased the skills he had taught the children, laughter mingling with the sound of their joyous antics. Clara shared stories of faith, recalling the trials that had shaped them. The deep bonds among them, once frayed by fear, now shimmered brightly like the rainbow that had graced the sky. But as the day progressed, Mary sensed an undercurrent of anticipation, the sort that dwelled in the air just before something monumental. She decided it was time to confront those unspoken doubts lingering in the corners of their hearts. She gathered everyone and asked, "What is our testimony? What do we want to declare before the world today?" The murmurs of agreement turned into whispers of excitement. Encouraged, she continued, "Let us create a vision board. Each of us can share our dreams, our fears, and how God has transformed our lives. This will become our shared tapestry, a memorial of faith." One by one, as villagers colored the board with their hopes, stories poured forth like water from a tapped well. "I dreamed of setting up a food shelter for the less fortunate," suggested a young mother, her voice brimming with determination. "And my heart aches for those who feel lost. Let us create a safe space filled with warmth," echoed an elderly farmer, eyes glistening with purpose as their voices melded together. Mary felt the air shift yet again, a divine promise manifesting before them. The heady scent of faith soared into the heavens, each word a bold declaration of their collective transformation. In the midst of their celebration, a voice broke through the jubilant reverie, a skeptical voice, one they all recognized. "But what if this isn't enough?" It was James, and he emerged from the shadows. "Even miracles can fade. What happens when the next storm comes?" Mary stepped forward, feeling the warmth of God course through her. "James," she said gently, "the storms will come, yes, but how we respond defines us. This festival is proof that our foundations have been built on faith. Each of us bears witness to our miracles. That's a force greater than any doubt. Remember the rainbow? It's here to remind us that light always follows darkness." As James hesitated, community voices surged behind Mary, lifting her words up like a prayer. "Our faith brings our dreams alive together. We are the light," Clara asserted, her conviction echoed by others with those words. James's shoulders lowered. He felt the shift, perhaps a glimmer of understanding that hadn't been there before. All around, the villagers rallied together, forming an unbreakable circle of hope, a circle bound by love, faith, and shared dreams. The day unfolded, filled with laughter and shared stories, as the community embraced every moment of joy. And as twilight descended, painting the sky in rich hues of orange and purple, Mary looked around, tears of gratitude welling in her eyes. They had experienced transformation, but, more importantly, they had rekindled a collective faith restored that as festivities came to a close. Mary gathered everyone for a final prayer. "Let us give thanks for each heart here, the triumphs, the struggles, and the dreams we hold. May our faith continue to ignite a light in every shadow, reminding us that we are never alone." Voices rose in harmony, enveloping the village in a warm, sacred embrace, the very essence of divine love manifesting particularly strong within those gathered. With a heart warmed by grace, Mary knew this was a turning point. The village had familiarized itself again with a powerful truth that transformation happens when you lean into faith amidst doubt. It marked not just the end of one journey but the beginning of many more to come, challenges to face, and victories to celebrate as the stars began to twinkle above the village. The rainbow remained a vivid memory, a promise leading them forward. No longer would they walk in fear. They were united, hearts open, ready to embrace the wondrous possibilities God had in store for them, a future glowing with hope, just like the miraculous light that painted their lives anew. Now, dear friends, this is your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that inspire hope and transformation in your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference in spreading the message. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about how this ending has touched your heart and life. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this divine manifestation. This is the moment to show your unwavering support.